Should you use Google Tag Manager? Do you need Google Tag Manager? In this video, we'll talk about 3 pros and 4 cons that'll help you make your decision. First, let's talk about the pros. One of the biggest benefits of Google Tag Manager is that it makes it easy for people who aren't web developers to be able to push tracking codes to your website. So if you or someone on your team, for example, wanted to add a script for Google Analytics or Google Ads or any other ad platform, then you can use Google Tag Manager to do that without having to directly edit any of the theme code on your website. This segues nicely into the second pro of Google Tag Manager, which is that it's an easy tool for collaboration. If you wanted to work with a freelancer or an agency, for example, to help you out with measurement on your website or installing different types of tags, then Google Tag Manager makes it very easy to invite those people into your container and also to give them permissions that give you a level of security that you're comfortable with. And the third pro of using Google Tag Manager is that it's unsurprisingly very compatible with other types of Google products. So if you're trying to set up tags for things like Google Optimize or Google Ads, for example, they'll give you preset options to set those types of tags up. Now that we've covered the pros, let's dig into the cons. This first one might sound kind of contradictory given where we started, but one of the cons of Google Tag Manager is that it does allow non-developers to push code to your site. And so this is a big pro if you're not a developer, but if your website has strict development protocols and procedures, then allowing people who aren't developers to be able to push code to the site might add some extra risk that you're not looking for. The second con is that Google Tag Manager could potentially affect your website's performance. Now, the most likely case where this would happen is if over time you've accumulated a bunch of tags in your container that are slowing your site down. And the reason why this would happen is because each tag in your Tag Manager account is essentially a script that's going to be running on the site at some point. And especially if a lot of these tags are running on every single page view, then that's however many scripts that are going to be running on every single page. And after a certain point, that could slow down your site speed. So it's a good idea to make sure that all the tags in your container are actively being used and serve some kind of relevant purpose. And the third con is that Google Tag Manager does have its own learning curve. While it's usually easier to create a tag in Tag Manager than to hard code something throughout your site, you'll want to learn how tags, triggers, and variables work together to measure things on your website. And the other thing that's important to be aware of is that there are still cases like tracking e-commerce sales, for example, where you'll need to implement pieces of code on your website for Tag Manager to be able to read those kinds of interactions properly. So should you use Google Tag Manager? I really think that this boils down to 2 main questions. One, do you have a large in-house development team that can handle your every request? If the answer to that is no, then you'll probably have something to gain from using Google Tag Manager. And number 2, do you want to make it easy for non-development teams to be able to collect data and measure things on your website or within your app without having to bug your developers? And if the answer to that is yes, then that's another reason to use Google Tag Manager. Now, if security, compliance, and development processes are extremely critical to your organization, and in some cases there's plenty of valid reasons for why they might be, then that's definitely a reason where, or definitely a case where you may not want to use Google Tag Manager just so that you can protect the integrity of your development cycles. And if you want any follow-ups to this video with any tips on Tag Manager container management or how to set anything up in Tag Manager, then definitely leave a comment. I would love to check out the comments and create any other videos based on what you need help with, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.